Hello, welcome back to Hakuna MaChatter, and today I'm going to be talking more on Never Have I Ever. Last week I had both AJ Reacts To and Lily from The Art of Lily K coming onto the channel as we discussed this show. So if you want to see that brilliant discussion, then I recommend just clicking on the card here. But today I'm going to be going a bit more in depth into the show's diversity and representation, and as to why I feel that Never Have I Ever is leading the way in diversity. So if diversity and representation is a massive thing for you in film and TV, this should be a great video for you to watch. Let's dive in. So for those of you that don't know, Never Have I Ever is a new Netflix show that follows the life of Davy, a South Asian American teenager through high school, through, this one semester of high school, as she sort of tries to go after the top good-looking boy, Paxton Hal Yoshida. It's your very typical teen drama, not usually the kind of show I would watch, but it was recommended to me by AJ Reacts To, and I'm very thankful that he did. So for starters, let's get the obvious thing out the way. The show is led by a South Asian American. We don't see many shows that are led by South Asians, particularly here in the Western world. I mean, if there are any more out there, do holler at me, let me know in the comment section down below. I know the Mindy project is a big one, and funny enough, Mindy Kaling is one of the creative heads behind this show. And sort of watching a bit of background about the show as well, it's a lot of the events in Never Have I Ever are based off of real life experiences that Mindy Kaling has experienced. So already that's quite interesting, because you know that there's a lot of heart going into a show like this, that it's coming from a personal space of someone who is a very renowned creator currently in Hollywood, and especially in the TV sector. So for a show that has a lot of diversity and different forms of representation in there, it's nice to see that it's being handled from a place of knowing what these experiences are, of knowing these stories. And so for me, that's already a real important step with this show. But I think what was a real kind of clincher for it is that it's not your typical foreigner or immigrant sort of moving to a new place and getting lost in this brand new culture that is a complete headwind for them. And, do they have a place with these completely different people from who they're used to growing up back home? No, it very much takes the idea that Devi and her family have been living in America for an incredibly long time. In fact, in flashbacks we see that her parents moved to America and buy the house while Devi's mum is still pregnant, and Devi in the show is around 16 years of age, so we know that they have been here in the US for a very long time, and so we don't need to go through the whole, oh, look at the funny japes these weird foreign people are getting themselves in, which I have to say is an incredible relief. And it does something that's really important for me when it comes to diversity and representation, because we can have diversity on screen, we can have diversity off screen behind the camera as well, and it's things that Hollywood and the UK are pushing to have more, but it's how you then represent those people as well. And I really feel that Never Have I Ever is doing something different when it comes to representation. It's just allowing these characters to be who they are without having to focus on them being from a different race or a different gender, a different sexual orientation, so on and so forth. Yes, a lot of the stories do follow this. After all, it is a teen drama, so we're experiencing these teens experiencing these emotions and feelings for the first time. So a lot of it is going to be this character is defined by this kind of trait, which is a shame at some points, but largely the show doesn't do that. And then of course there is a lot of learning about Indian culture as well. There was a risk that this show could be a bit too stereotypical, and I'm not sure if that's true. Obviously I'm not from this kind of culture, so I don't know if it is a very stereotypical reading of it, but being an outsider, I found it really accessible, and I kind of feel that in three of the characters, in Devi, in her cousin Carmela, and in her mother Nalina, that we get 3 degrees of Indian culture within this show. Devi is very much westernized. She is the kid that was born in America, has grown up in America, and so she takes on American culture more than she does the heritage of her Indian culture. Myself as well, being born in a country that is different from the country of my heritage, I kind of understand that. Like, I am very much a Brit. I was born in London, therefore I am a Londoner and a Brit, though I do have heritage that goes into Europe and into the Americas as well. So, and that's sides I've never explored, really. So I found Devi really relatable on that sense. Then if you look at her cousin Carmela, she is kind of stuck in the middle of Indian tradition and sort of trying to break out into American Western traditions or culture. Is probably a better way of putting that. So we see Carmela, who is arranged to be married, which is obviously very stereotypical of that type of Indian culture, but she tries to break away with that, and she has a boyfriend here in America that she wants to be with, but can't be because she is arranged to be married. And then we have Devi's mother, Nalina, and she very much follows the more traditional sense of Indian culture, at least that was my understanding of it. And so when you sort of had these 3 lenses into Indian culture, it was really great to sort of get an understanding of the different degrees. Being an outsider, it was something I kind of felt that I was learning as well as going on the journey with these characters. And I think for that reason alone, it was really great to have sat down and watched this show. So one thing I really wanted to touch on was something that AJ said in the discussion we had last week. And instead of explaining to you, I'm just going to show you what he says.
At the beginning of the show, when I started watching it, I thought it was so much diversity. It was kind of like overload because I wasn't used to seeing so many different cultures on one screen, and I was like, this is so obvious, like what they're trying to do. But by the end of the series, or by the end of the season, I didn't even notice it anymore. It was just something that kind of like I got used to. And I really found that I enjoyed it.
I really love what AJ says here, and actually in the video itself I did go on to make this point, but I want to bring it back here, in that the diversity at first when he watched the show he felt was a bit overwhelming, but the longer he watched the show, the more he got used to it, and the more it just in the end felt normal. And I feel that's a really important point about diversity and representation in film and TV in general. Yes, I can understand at the moment it might feel overwhelming to a lot of people. We see a lot of criticisms every day here on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, you name it, it's all over the place, of people being concerned that films and TV shows are just being made to be diverse rather than tell a good story. Now, I put that in inverted commas, not because we don't need to tell good stories, of course we do, but we shouldn't be splitting diversity and storytelling. They do very much come hand in hand. But the thing is that diversity and representation in TV will never feel normal until it's accepted as normal, until we go, do you know what? Yeah, other people do have their stories told, and it's not all just one demographic all the time. And so I kind of feel that Never Have I Ever is a real good benchmark to be jumping off from, and to normalizing diversity and representation, and so that when it happens in mainstream film and TV, like it should be doing anyway, because if it happens in the mainstream and it catches on there, then it means that networks and production companies will more likely fund the smaller projects like Never Have I Ever that are really great in their diversity and representation and really great with their storytelling. I've separated the two there, but you know what I mean, that's how I'm making my point. And so if you are searching for something more diverse to watch, if you're slightly bored on all the type of shows that we're getting and you want to watch something different, I can't recommend Never Have I Ever enough. As I said, it really isn't the kind of show I would usually watch. Teen dramas are just not my thing. It's never intrigued me whatsoever, but Never Have I Ever did, and I have to say it was because of the diversity and definitely going to keep that in. And I have to say it was because of the diversity and representation. It was a big draw for me. So have you seen Never Have I Ever? Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the show. I'll be really interested to hear your thoughts. If you'd like this video, please consider dropping it a like and subscribing to the channel should you wish for more future content on diversity and representation in film and TV. Hakuna MaChatter.